Hi everyone, I'm Elin and I want to talk about books. It's as simple as that. I had an attempt like a year ago at making booktube videos, but I made them private all of a sudden. And here I am again, attempting a new start. Well, this time I'm just gonna go straight in and talk about the books I read in June. In June I read a total of 6 books, which is pretty okay. I mean, some of them are quite short, so yes. The first book I read in June, or the first book I finished in June, was Quiet by Susan Cain. It's like all white, but I don't know, maybe you can see some text here. It's a book about introverts and extroverts, and as an introvert myself, it was very interesting to see. At least like the first chapter is about the history of how society is so extroverted right now. So I found it very, very interesting, and I think it's something that pretty much everyone could read and should read, because I mean, we all have people around us, so and the next I finished was actually, I was browsing around on Spotify in the evening and I found a collection of short stories by Virginia Woolf, and I have been meaning to read more Virginia Woolf. So I found them, I listened to them. I think it was like 6, 7 different short stories. They were like okay on average. There was one that I really, really enjoyed, and it was, let me see, A Society. A Society is about a group of women, I think it's like 6 or 7, and they realize that the world is ruled by men. It's by men and for men. So they decide to split up and go explore the world, see different areas, learn stuff to see why it's only men that are writing books and are being educated, and so on. So yeah, it was really interesting. I found it, like, I enjoyed that one particularly. So if you haven't read that short story, go and give it a listen or read if you can find it, because, well, it is on Spotify, so it's pretty easy. It was only like half hour to listen to. Yes. Next I read a collection of poetry. It's Milk and Honey by Ruby Kaur, or I think that's how you say it. And I mean, like, this is everywhere. It's been on the Book Repository top list for really long. Okay, what to say? I'm gonna have a sip of tea first. Okay. So immediately when I got this, I started reading it. And first of all, it's like a collection of poetry. It is in different sections. It is the 4 sections that it contains are the hurting, the loving, the breaking, and the healing. And first of all, like when I read it, it felt okay. Like I enjoyed reading it somewhat. And it was particularly in the healing part that I found the most that I liked. But as time has gone by, I felt like it wasn't for me. I felt that like more and more it has just been building up, and it feels a bit troubled, I would say. Some parts was... Well, like, if you want to read some easy poetry, this is, I guess, for you. But it wasn't for me. So, to the next one. So this was my favorite read of the month, and I enjoyed it a lot. Really, really much. I read it together with a friend. She hasn't finished it yet, but hopefully soon. And it's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I don't know why I haven't read this book before, but it was so good. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, even though some parts were a bit maybe dragged out, and like, it was really easy to read. A classic that is extremely easy to read, and you just fly through it. So I actually, because I found some parts a bit dragging, and maybe mostly the beginning was a bit like I didn't know what the book was about. So that is why I only gave it a 4 stars and not a 5. But really, really good. After that one, I listened to an audiobook. And it's also a very popular one. It's Me Before You. I haven't seen the movie yet. So yeah, it's like by Jojo Moyes, if you didn't know. The thing about that one, it was okay. I found it really entertaining. But it didn't give me very, very much. So it was a good listen to. I gave it a 3 out of 5. So it was okay. And the last thing that I read and finished is this one, Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. This is a modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I mean, come on, I love Pride and Prejudice, and yes, so it's about Willis and Jane, who live in New York, both of them. They're around 40 years old and single. All of a sudden, 2 very eligible doctors move to, where is it? To the city where they live. Cincinnati. They moved to Cincinnati, and Liz and Jane go back to Cincinnati because something has happened. It was a lot of fun. Really easy to read. Very enjoyable, but also maybe a bit too simple for my taste, but I liked it a lot. It was very fun, and if you like Pride and Prejudice, you could read this, I think. But still, I gave it a 3 stars because it... I was maybe hoping for a bit more. Even though I think some parts were really cleverly remade into something that there was a lot of surprises. Let's just leave it at that. So that was all. I hope you had a great reading month in June, and let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!